Can I ask you something? When you imagined your life at this age, does it look anything like what you're actually living? Because if there is a gap between the life you pictured and the life you have, and if that gap has been heavy lately, I want you to stay right here. Because what I'm about to share changed everything for me, and I think it might do the same for you. And if you want a head start before we dive in, I put together a free clarity reset guide you can grab from the link in the description. Now, by the end of this video, I'm going to give you the exact words a 20-year-old woman said to me that I have used as a guiding principle for the entirety of my life. And I promise you, once you hear them, you're going to want to write them down because it's that good. But first, let me tell you a story. When I was in college, I had a plan. I'd graduate, go to law school, do a semester abroad at the London School of Economics, or maybe spend a few years working in Rome as a waitress, because back then you could actually afford to do that and still have a life, before possibly joining the Peace Corps. Two things were true. I knew I wanted to see the world, and I knew that I wanted to eventually become a Supreme Court justice. I had dreams, y'all, really big dreams. And then I went out with some friends one summer night during my 5th year, senior year, if you know, you know, and met a tall, dark, handsome man. And 30 days later, I was pregnant. Not a year later, not after a whirlwind summer romance, 30 days. And just like that, the London School of Economics, the Peace Corps, the years abroad, the version of the life I had been building towards since I was a little girl, gone. I left school a month later and went back home, where I spent the better part of 9 months crying on my mother's couch. And I want you to sit for that in a second, because I think some of you know exactly what that couch feels like. Maybe it wasn't a pregnancy that changed your trajectory. Maybe it was a divorce, a layoff, a diagnosis, a relationship that didn't work out, a version of yourself you kept waiting to become and she never showed up. That couch, that grief, that's what we're talking about today. And here's what I want you to understand. It doesn't get the attention it deserves. You are grieving, not a person, not a thing you can hold, but you're grieving an idea, a picture, a future you carried around for years that is not going to happen the way you imagined it. And until you name it, until you say it out loud, I am grieving the life I thought I have, it just sits in your body as irritability, restlessness, sadness, or a feeling that something is wrong with you. But nothing is wrong with you. You're just human. And on this side of 40, when you finally slow down long enough to see things clearly, that grief comes forward, because in your 40s and your 50s, you stop pretending. So say it with me. I am grieving the life I thought I had. And that deserves your acknowledgement. It also deserves your tears. So take the time and grieve the life you didn't get to have. Grieve the marriage that is now over. Grieve the job that you lost. Grieve the relationship you thought you'd have by now. Grieve the friendships that are gone. Grieve the travel that you didn't take. Grieve the financial savings you don't have. Grieve the loss of a loved one who is also gone, because that life you are holding onto, that future will never happen, and it is holding you back. Now, here's where I want to draw a very clear line, because I don't want for you to get this wrong. Grieving is not the same as giving up, and letting go is not settling. There is a huge difference between releasing a picture that no longer fits and abandoning yourself. When you let go of the old version of your life, you are not waving a white flag. You are making room. You are finally choosing reality over fantasy, alignment over expectation, and the life that's trying to meet you right now, today, in this moment, instead of chasing a life that stopped being available to you years ago. Letting go isn't giving up. It's opening up. And I want you to hear this clearly. Grieving what you thought you'd have doesn't mean you're ungrateful for what you do have. You can be grateful and grieving at the same time. You are allowed to feel disappointed. You are allowed to feel confused. You are allowed to feel sadness for the version of the life you imagined, and compassion for the version of yourself who was just doing the best she could with the tools she had. What you cannot, should not, and will not do is shame yourself for having emotions, because grief is not weakness. It's not a setback. It is not evidence that you failed. Grief is a sign that you are finally being honest with yourself. And I would love to tell you that once you name it and once you own it, it goes away. But it does not. It sneaks up on you from time to time. And I saw that because I lived it and I'm still living it. In fact, a few months ago, I thought I was fine. I dropped my daughter off at my sister's for a week, stepped back into my house, and just started crying. I couldn't stop. I didn't even know why at first, but there were parts of me, memories, feelings I pushed aside because I was forging forward that finally had room to meet me where I was. And so I sat in it. I let it be what it was. And then it passed. And I could move on. I could move forward again. Because here's what people don't actually talk about enough. Grief creates space. And when you stop holding on to the picture of a life that you don't have, something that doesn't exist anymore, your hands, they open up. Because you're not gripping, you're not holding on anymore. And open hands can build something new, something more honest, more aligned, more true to who you are today. And this is where your life begins. Which brings me back to that couch, my mother's house, 9 months pregnant and crying over the life I thought I'd lost. My best friend, still my very best friend 29 years later, said something to me before I left school, something that her mother told her. And I have held on to these words through every hard chapter, every hard season, every unbearable moment of my life since. She said, "Your life is not over. It's just taking a new direction. And with a little replanning, everything will be okay." Write that down, screenshot it, say it out loud right now if you need to. Because the life you pictured at 25, 35, even 42 was never supposed to be the final blueprint. It couldn't be. You hadn't lived enough of this life yet to know who you really were and what you really wanted. And now you do. Now you get to build with clarity, experience, and truth. You get to redefine what success looks like. You get to choose relationships that actually support you. You get to dream again, but this time from a place of truth and not fantasy. Because grieving the old life is exactly what makes space for the life that finally fits you. So if you've been carrying that heaviness, that heartbreak over what didn't happen, I want you to hear me. You are not broken. You are not behind. And you are not too late. You're just grieving. And that means you're healing. Remember, your life is not over. It's just taking a new direction. And with a little replanning, everything, and I do mean everything, will be okay. I'm Danticia, and this channel is about resetting your life back to baseline in whatever area you're experiencing a deficit so that you can climb out and build something new. Now, if this resonated with you, subscribe, because we do this a few times a week. And then drop in the comments what's one thing you've been quietly grieving. You don't have to carry it alone. I'll see you in the next video.